What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the PrizePicks Pick Show. Want to start with a shout out to some of my colleagues over at FTN. We had three guys, three rankers, three mock drafters finish in the top 12 of the FTN or of the Fantasy Pros mock draft contest, I should say. So, three in the top 12. What a testament it is to just how loaded the FTN subscription is. Reminder, you can get the VIP subscription for just $300 a year. $25 a month. So what that comes out to, you get Fantasy Plus, you get DFS Plus, and of course you get Bets Plus as well. And remember that Fantasy Plus, that's mock draft stuff, that's dynasty rankings, it's fantasy football rankings. Once that season comes about, right now we've got FTN's baseball product, Vlad Sedler doing a phenomenal job there. Weekly rankings in the fantasy baseball world, just everything you could possibly want. So yet another reminder last night in that draft. We also had a bunch of guys, I think, take home a bunch of money just betting the draft, things of that nature. So once again, it's totally loaded. Check that out. The link is in this description on the YouTube show for the pricing page over at FTNFantasy.com. Speaking of, the plan for today, we're going to talk baseball picks. We got 13 games. We're going to talk NBA picks, 3 playoff games tonight, including one that starts at 5:30 here on the East Coast. My Sixers got the big win last night. They're back in the series, so that was a lot of fun. We didn't hit the 6-pick play last night, but we did hit 4 of the 6 regular picks, missed out on the Demon pick. But hey, we were 6 for 6 2 nights ago with that 38 exit. We're going to be trying to do the exact same thing today. So my big ask for you guys, head over to the YouTube show. You can find that link on the FTN Fantasy Twitter. You can find it on my Twitter at AlexBlicka1. I'll give you guys plenty of time to go into there. And I'm going to see if you guys can guess the Demon play again. If not, today the Demon play will only be given out in the Discord chat unless somebody guesses it here on the YouTube show. Or here on the show, I should say, in the YouTube chat. So go over, once again, to the YouTube show and watch there, participate in the chat. I will be giving a big hint on what that's going to be. But the Demon play is going to be part of a pairing. So we're going to look for a baseball stack. 2 hitters, one of them will be a Demon, one will be a pick straight from the tool. I'll give a big hint in a few minutes. But before we do that, let's start here with the MLB tool. And let's go to outs today. We're going to find a couple one-offs here in the outs. The first one, you can see the very top pick of the day, Reese Olson, fewer than 17.5 outs. We've got nearly 74%. He's only gotten to this number in 1 out of 4 starts, and now he faces a Kansas City offense, walks a lot. They just hit quite well. It's a tougher matchup than some that he's had. And the big key here is that Olson has just been really inefficient in terms of getting outs per pitch. The amount of pitches that he's had to throw per plate appearance, a lot higher than what you would want. Consequently, his number of pitches per inning has also been a lot higher than what you'd want for somebody that you're hoping to get 6 full innings out of. Again, this Kansas City offense has really kind of been tough to deal with. They also, I think, a really underrated aspect of this type of play is what does the opponent do on the base paths? When the Royals get on base, they run and they get in the heads of pitchers, and that causes a lot of extra energy. And so yet another reason why a pitcher might be less likely to get 6 full innings is if that opponent can really run, which this Kansas City team we know does quite well. So Reese Olson, fewer than 17.5 outs is the first pick. And then right here, the second best play. Don't even have to go searching through the board. Jose Butto, more than 15.5 outs. He, on the other hand, has been quite efficient with his pitches, and now he faces a St. Louis team who's really not been dangerous at all offensively, struggling offensively. And the Cardinals have maximized pitch per inning efficiency for opposing pitchers. So both of these really, really strong foundations. Again, we will be pairing these with with a Demon pair. So for anyone who hasn't heard this already, I see a bunch of people still filing into the show here. If you want the Demon pair, actually, it's just one pair. It's just one Demon, I should say. It's part of a pair of 2 hitters in a stack. The big hint that I'll give, if you go to the MLB PrizePicks tool, and again, that link is also in the description. Even if you're not a subscriber, you will be able to see this. So hit that link in the description on the YouTube show, and you will be able to go see this look right here. Somewhere on here, you can see the actual pair that we want. One of the guys, we're going to use the fantasy points prop that is suggested. The other guy, we're going to instead go to a demon. If you can guess what that demon is and who it is, I'll continue to give hints as you guys make guesses, then I will give out the full demon play. And that means I'll be giving out the full 6-pick play here on the show. In the meantime, as we wait for some guesses, I'm going to jump over to the NBA tool. And we're going to find some more picks here. You can probably already guess it. I'm going to turnovers. I love going to turnovers. We hit both of the turnover picks yesterday, both Embiid and Jokic, fewer than 3.5 turnovers each hit. Today, we're going to start scrolling down here. We're going to go Miles Turner, fewer than 1.5 turnovers. This is at 61.7%. He's only had 1 turnover so far in the series. Interestingly, he averages fewer than 1.5 turnovers per game. We also know turnovers are skewed towards the less. So all of that is great. But then also, Milwaukee, dead last in opponent turnovers forced per game this season. And no Giannis. Once again, he's already been ruled out here for game 3. So Turner less than 1.5 turnovers strikes me as an absolutely phenomenal play. I also like the Siakam fewer than 1.5 turnovers. This one's at 62.2%. I think I like the Turner one slightly more, but I really don't have a huge preference. The one thing I will say, you see a very, very tiny correlation loss here, negative 0.1%. I'm not scared of that correlation by any means. I do think, though, that I may prefer just running one of these just because in the extreme sense, you do get some inverse correlation here where, you know, if for whatever reason Siakam is just dominating usage tonight, that will help Miles Turner not turn the ball over twice. If Turner's never really going to dominate usage on his own, but if what Indiana is doing is basically just all, you know, Halliburton and Turner pick and roll, that sort of thing, then that would also help Siakam get fewer than 2 turnovers. So in the extreme, I do see some correlation here, and therefore I maybe don't want to play these together, but mix and match, I do love them both. And then the other one that I'm going to go to today, steals. Bradley Beal, fewer than 1.5 steals. We got this one nearly 72%. Again, this is just a really, really strong mathematical play. It's not the most fun thing to bet, right? Like, we want to be rooting for these stars to be stars in the playoffs, things like that. It's not a sexy pick by any means, is I think a good way to put it. But I do think it's a really strong pick, and it will help us get that 6-pick play, 38x, and that is quite sexy. So in and of itself, these picks aren't great. They're not that sexy, but man, are they strong from a mathematical perspective, and they should help us get that 6-pick win tonight. So love that one as well. And let's see. We've got a guess. We've got Garcia Demon. I'm going to assume that that's Adolis Garcia, in which case it's a very strong guess. Let's go back to that MLB PrizePicks tool, and you can see near the top, we've got both Corey Seager and Marcus Semien. So it makes sense to have one of those guys and then Adolis Garcia Demon. I'm going to give you another hint here. You don't even have to think that far outside the box. This is the pair. It's going to be Seager and Semien. One of these guys, we're using fantasy points. One of these guys, we're using the Demon. If you can guess which that is, I will give out that answer here on the show. I also saw in the Pick'em Games channel, we had a few guesses as well. We saw Torkelson or Carpenter. We're seeing Bobby Witt as one of the guesses. So now if you guys are tuned in live, you can see the answer is going to be one of Corey Seager and Marcus Semien for the Demon. One of these guys, we're just going to be using that fantasy points number. Here's another hint. Remember something that I've talked about in the past, which is we don't love taking picks that have a chance of tying, right? Because when a pick ties, let's say we have our 38x pick, 6-pick play tonight, and one of those legs ties and the other 5 hit. Instead of getting that 38x payout, it's going to drop because it becomes a 5 of 5. But now remember, we also have a Demon. So we're boosting the odds from 25x to 38x with that Demon. If any pick ties, it doesn't matter if it's the Demon that ties or one of the regular picks that ties. If we go 5 for 5, it slashes to just 10x. So we don't want a chance of a tie which means we probably don't want the Corey Seager 7 fantasy points. It's very easy to land on 7, right? A single, a run scored, and an RBI, that's 7 fantasy points. A double and a run scored, or a double and an RBI. A double and a walk. There's so many different ways to land on exactly 7 fantasy points. That maybe tells you who the demon is. Can you guess what the demon is? And then that also means we will be using Marcus Semien more than 6.5 fantasy points, 56.4%. Now, you can see this Semien pick is pretty good, or the Seager pick is fairly good on its own, 55.2%. We also get a fairly nice correlation here. We can't put the demon in today. You know, if this was Corey Seager 1.5, we could go. And so, for example, like if I go to the Rangers here and I put hits plus runs plus RBI in, let's say I wanted to do it with Nathaniel Lau. I don't want to do it with Lau, but 53.5%, really strong correlation. So immediately you can see, wow, look how much more correlated these hits plus runs plus RBI picks are. If I wanted to check his demon, let's say his was 2.5, I could just type that in here, 2.5. Now I put that in like that, and I see, okay, he's 44.6%. The correlation is still really strong, plus 1.4%. So you can do this type of thing. The only problem is we need the player to actually have that type of prop for the day to be able to do this. So because there is no Seager 1.5 HRR pick available on PrizePicks, we can't check his demon. If we could, I'm sure it would be a lot higher than this number here. We've got Corey Seager fantasy points. So we want the demon, right? If we go to PrizePicks, in fact, let's just do that. Let's just go to PrizePicks here. If I search Corey Seager, we don't have any fantasy point demon, right? We've got this 7.0 fantasy points. There's no demon that's like 8.5 fantasy points or 9.5 fantasy points, anything like that. So the demon is either going to be 0.5 RBIs, 1.5 hits, 0.5 walks, 2.5 hits plus runs plus RBI, 0.5 doubles, 2.5 total bases, or 0.5 home runs. Now, which of these, based on this conversation, do you guys think is going to be the most correlated with Marcus Semien more than 6.5 fantasy points? Remember, Seager hit second in the order, Semien first, so he's going to be right after him. It's going to really help Semien get to that 6.5 number if Semien hits a double and then Seager drives him in, right? That's going to take Semien from 5 fantasy points to 7 fantasy points. That's going to do it. It could be 0.5 RBIs, could be 2.5 hits plus run plus RBI. What do you guys think? What might we be doing here? Bang. We got it. Albert, great call there. It's Corey Seager more than 2.5 hits plus runs plus RBI. Absolutely love this demon. We've been going to it each of the last few days. We hit the Aaron Judge 2.5 hits plus run plus RBI demon 2 days ago with Juan Soto more than 1.5 hits plus run plus RBI. That was part of the 38X hit. Judge didn't come through. Soto actually didn't come through yesterday on the 2.5 hits plus run plus RBI demon, but neither of them did, right? And so yet again, it shows you how strong this correlation is. They both hit 2 days ago. Neither of them hit yesterday, including the demon. Today, let's hope that the Semien more than 6.5 fantasy points and Corey Seager more than 2.5 hits plus run plus RBI pairing hits. We already have a bunch of other picks that we went through. So you can make at least 2 6-pick plays or 38X today based on just this show alone. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We will catch you next time. I will be back tomorrow, and then it will be Zach again this coming Monday. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next time.